The first question, how can you help a friend to, I can't read it, but just, I think it's about to get away from fear. How can we help a friend to get away from fear? That is the immediate method and and a far-reaching method. The immediate method would be very simple. Tell him to come here. We'll talk about it. Come to the meditation class. It's easier for me to talk about it than you, because I've been analyzing it, and maybe they will listen to a monk more than to a layman. So the most immediate, easy way to deal with that is tell him to come to listen to our lecture, our Dharma talk. It's easy, but then it's difficult. He may not listen to you. Why would he come to a temple? And tell him that you can enjoy a vegetarian lunch free. He said, free? Oh yeah, I like to take anything free. I couldn't get free from McDonald's, from White Spot, from Pantry, and I like anything that is free, just like the air. So, tell them to come. Another method is to you explain it to them. Then why don't you learn how to get away from fear first? But if you want to explain it to them, you have to be his teacher. So you have to know the subject well. So can you deal with the subject, understand it, and explain it to him? Another method is tell him to say, get into YouTube and listen to some of these monks talking about how to get away from fear, or get into Google, or get into whatever you want, but he may not want to get into it. You have to think about a good method of doing it, an easy way to do it. You have to do it intelligently, a good method. You're talking about trying to convert fear into kindness, into compassion, into non-fear, into courage. It's a great feat to be accomplished. It's not an easy. Don't think about just talk a few words and then you can change someone who is fearful into someone who is courageous. It takes time. Nothing comes easy. Oh, there's another question. Okay. So, the easiest method is to get him to listen to a monk or to get into some lectures about fear. And, or if you really want, if you have listened to my Dharma talk just now, tell him that don't try to get away from it. Just watch it. Let it come, but don't get involved with it. When the fear comes, you're so fearful, you are sweating, you lost your appetite, it's so fearful that you think you're going to die. You have a lot of anxiety that you think your relatives are going to die, your mom and dad, oh, you're so fearful. Just don't get emotionally caught up with it. Step back and look at your fear and say, Mr. Fear, I know you're my friend, but now let's just talk, and I let you stay here because I can't get you away anyway, but I would like to see you, to let you explain to me what this fear is all about. So you sit there, and this Mr. Fear, he will not try to talk. He will just keep silent. You just look at him silently, and he will look at you silently. You just watched it. See how the fear comes. It may be emotionally overwhelm you. It is so fearful that you don't want to you want to get away from it by eliminating your thought from it, but you cannot. You want to eliminate yourself from it because you're so fearful that you thought that you're going to die. And you want to escape. You escape from that fear by destroying yourself. Some people are like that. Some people commit suicide because of anxiety, of depression, of fear, of a lot of things. You must get away from it and look at it. And that's the first lesson. Don't get involved with it. Don't hate it. Don't reject it, because he won't. By hating it, you are more than just fearful. You are angry. That's even heavier for you than to handle. In the first place, you're handling fear only. Then you add it with anger. Don't do that. Just watched it, and then Mr. Fear, since you didn't say anything, I'm not going to say anything, and I would like you to dissipate. Don't take me in anymore. I know it's been wrong that I mix up with you, but I hope you can go away. It will go away. Because then you're not emotionally obsessed with it. You're fearful, but you try to distance your way from it. Distance yourself from it. So accept it, embrace it, listen to it. Tell him why. Ask him why. Probably he won't answer, or he will give you answers. But you know that all the answers that he gave are conditional, are empty, are causes put together. There's no intrinsic nature on his answer. Because the fear comes through what? Through shunyata, through conditions coming all together that you have that fear. And all these conditions are just thoughts. They're not real. They're just thought. So if they are not real, why do you want to attach to something that is unreal? Let it come up and let it go. They're unreal. Don't hate it. Don't get angry with it. Just let it come, let it go. Like you are the mountain, and all these black clouds come by. You just watch the black cloud passing by. You don't go away with it. You are the mountain, irremovable. You're not moving. You're not moving. You're standing still and let the clouds drift by. Don't hate it. Don't hate the clouds. Just let it go by. The fear itself is innocent. Just as your thought itself is innocent. It's just like it's just the emotions that breeds up the fear that get you obsessed. No anger, no fear, no anxiety, no depression, no jealousy. They're all just a thought. Unreal. But you're obsessed with it. You have to learn how to get rid of it. Same goes true of your laziness. You're so mentally foggy. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to try hard because you feel that it's pointless to try. But the Buddha told us that engage your energy in the right way. Don't let the mental fogginess slow you down. Pick up the courage and carry on. You stumble, you fall, put your knapsack on the back again and you continue to walk. Don't give up walking. You fall down. You're fearful, you're anxious, you have anxiety, you have depression, you fall. Pick up the knapsack, put on your shoes, walk again. You'll get there. Don't get roadblocks by them. Okay, that's a question that I have. How do I donate to the lunch that I have all the time? No, practical questions. Very practical. This lunch is donated by conscientious people, some regular conscientious people. In their mind, they say, we want people to listen to the Dharma lecture so that they get benefit from it. Probably they cannot come, but they want everybody to be benefited by it. They have a compassionate mind. And I tell you, it's good always to give, not just to receive. If you're always sitting there and eating on somebody else's donation, and it's okay, nobody would say, hey, you haven't been donating or anything like that. But you in yourself, you know that you want to practice the compassionate act of giving. You're enjoying your lunch, and you think, first of all, you think, this is a good lunch. I don't want to waste any food. And who actually paid for this? There's someone who paid for this. And I come every day and I just eat the free lunch. I feel that it's a free lunch. I don't have to pay for it. When I go to White Spot, McDonald's, I still have to pay. Now I don't have to pay. It's not bad at all, so I should take it. And if you want me to pay, then maybe I evaluate what I have. Now this is 20 cents, this is 30 cents, maybe I should pay a quarter. Yeah, there's some people who after eating a good lunch, they pay 25 cents. But if they're forced to pay $5, then they will pay. But if not, they will just pay 25 cents. Because it's so natural that they want everything to be free. They want to accept people give to them. They don't want to give. Always learn how to give. Give is not just in money, you know. Give a smile. Give your courtesy. Give your caringness. Give your loving kindness. You always have to give out. Always render to people. First of all, learn how to render your kindness to your own family. Be kind to your brothers and sisters, your dad and your mom. Can you do that? Your husband, your wife. Giving. Giving is not just money. We're not talking about money. No. Giving can be energy. Or maybe in my first year of university, I studied at University of Toronto. In my first year, I started to investigate into which temple I should go to. Being a first-year student, the first year I arrived at Toronto, I was a stranger. I didn't know where to go for a temple. I don't have any teacher, and so I wanted to investigate as to which temple I go. And at that time, there was no Google. And I don't know where to go. So I tried to go to the campus and find out which temple. I couldn't get anything. So finally, I get to a temple. Oh, why did I talk about this? Let me see. Yeah. Yeah. So, oh yes. Yes, now I know. I remember. So I went to the temple, and being a poor student, I didn't have any extra money to spend that I can give donation. But every Saturday, I was eating the delicious lunch, and sometimes some members brought in their own spaghetti and cheesecake and all that. Some people donate in kind. They brought in their dishes. They brought in fantastic apple pie and cake, all these things. Everybody brought in something, and there's some people who donated money. So at that time I was so poor. I just sit down and eat. Good, delicious. I couldn't get it anywhere else. So I've been like that for a year, and then I think, wow, should I be eating somebody's, always giving out to me, and am I entitled to eating all these things? And then maybe I should do something in return. I didn't have any money though. So I make a vow in front of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, the goddess of mercy, the goddess of compassion. I said I didn't have any money to give out, so I would like to make it a point that I want to bring 100 people to that temple to learn meditation. It doesn't cost me any money at all. So I started to call up people. My fellow student, I started to make a list. So I called John to go in there. And if I saw John, I kept a check mark. This is number 1, 2, 3. So I write down all those I talked to, their names, their phone number, and I want to make sure that they actually attended at least one time to the temple. So I make a vow that I wanted to get 100 people to the meditation class so that they learned the wisdom of the Buddha's teaching, so that they would be benefited from it, so that I'm entitled to people giving out the food to me to eat. Because I don't want to eat. I always have of the feeling that I don't want to always take free stuff. You know, that would increase my greediness. Always taking free stuff. You know, coupons and discounts and all that. So I don't want to get free stuff. So I'd start to accumulate all this list, and finally, maybe about 5 months, I got 100, and I felt so happy. That I was eating the lunch because I donated in kind. I donated in spending my energy. I pick up a phone, call them and tell them to come to the temple. Some come. I still remember there was a lady. I called him. There was the only lady that I could actually see the result of my calling. And that lady, I had a fellow student, and his mom was not getting along with his wife at home. So they have a relationship problem between the mom-in-law and his wife and the lady. So the mom was about, at that time, 75 years old. She didn't feel happy living with someone she disliked. So very unhappy at home. So I knew about that. I said, well, why don't you get your mom to go to a meditation class to the Buddhist temple? And you don't have a car, I can actually go to your house, and we take a bus to go from downtown, Yonge Street, onto Don Mills. You know where Don Mills is? Who lived in Toronto before? You know where Don Mills is? Don Mills, Lawrence, and Shepherds, around that area. So I took a bus from, every Saturday I went to his home to pick up his mom, and we took a young bus, and then all the way to Lawrence and Shepherd for a few occasions. And later I left the temple and came to Vancouver. And about 10 years, when she was 86 or 87, I heard the news. I heard the news that on the Chinese New Year, she was circumambulating in the shrine, chanting Nam Mô A Di Đà Phật. At that time, she already had taken the 5 precepts with a sash, and she was chanting and circumambulating, and suddenly she felt very uncomfortable, and she sat on the sofa just next to the shrine, to the kitchen. And then in the middle of the chanting, she passed away without any sickness. She passed away in the middle of some people chanting Nam Mô A Di Đà Phật. I thought she must have gone to the Pure Land. She didn't have any, she was not sick, and she was just feeling uncomfortable, and she was sitting there and passing away. People could spend years in the hospital struggling for the oxygen, this mask in their mouth to survive, struggling with pain. But she went away she departed with no pain, and in the middle of chanting. I felt so comfortable, because that was the lady on my list that I introduced. Would that give you some kind of encouragement? You don't need to donate money. Donate your efforts, your kindness, your compassion. If somebody gets fearful, tell them to come and listen to a lecture of non-fear. And remember, don't just receive. If you receive from your dad, your mom, all the time, you learn how to give back to your dad in the form of love, caringness, loving kindness. Don't just get whatever you can from your dad, from your sisters, you know. And also, when you borrow somebody's money, you have to repay it. You can't just get people's money and you run away. No. Always repay your debt. If you cannot repay it in this life, there must be a problem. You have to repay it in your next life. You may become his son, or you may become his daughter, or I don't know. You can't get away with debt, spiritually and monetarily. You can't get away with it. Don't think that you can declare bankrupt and you can get away from $2 million of bank that you could get. No. You have to repay it. because you already cultivate the cause. You owe that much money. I have a lot of stories to tell you about repaying. If you couldn't repaying last life, repaying this life in the form of a dog, a cat, a cattle. Horrible. Unfinished. Your general ledger is not balanced. You have more liability than your debit. You have more credit than debit. You owed. And then you say, okay, my book is not balanced, and so let be it. No. You have to get that balance, no matter what. You have to balance it out. So then you say, maybe I should have more asset than liability. Then people owe me. Don't think that way too, because you're taking advantage of debts. You know there's forgiven loans now in accounting? All right, next. My anger is disappeared since I had started meditation. Could you please explain what is the relation? Your anger disappears because you're more compassionate. You learn how to get away, distance yourself from it. You don't hate it, but you just distance yourself from it. So that's good news that you can get away from it. What is the relation? Your first step is to distance yourself from it and don't reject it, your anger, and then you change it into compassion. Because if you're angry at your dad, for example, being abusive, you could have abused your dad in your previous life. You're just balancing the general ledger, as I said. You thought it's unfair to you in this life. What about previous life? You did the same thing. You divorced your wife in her previous life. And that's the reason why she divorced you. She's unfaithful to you because you were unfaithful many times to your wife before. Life is in the process of getting an equilibrium, balancing. The only way to get away from that constant acquisition of equilibrium point is to get to that nirvana. Go beyond. Don't go beyond a supply and demand curve of your desires. Go beyond that. All right, this is that question. Next question. I am at a loss for words to express my gratitude for the wonderful lectures. Many thanks. That's good. I hope you can get something from the lecture. If you have anxiety, if you have depression, don't get mixed and tangled with it. Don't be cheated by it. It's your own thinking. Stand away from it. It's your own mind devil. You're putting yourself down. Learn how to distance your way from it. Don't hate it. You're hating yourself. You're hating, that's the thought that comes from you, and you hate your thought. You're hating yourself. Why do you hate yourself? Don't hate anybody. Turn your hatred, whoever it is, externally, internally, into compassion, forgiveness. The only way to deal with cruelty is to forgive. Forgiveness has a lot of power in it. Your husband treated you cruelly, divorced you. Forgive. Only by forgiving can you move on, not by hating. Don't hate your enemies. Don't hate them. Be compassionate.